Chris Walker at the top of the championship standings, coming into round 17 and 18 at Cadwell Park. So all getting very tense indeed. And our commentary team of Roger Burnett and Barry Nutley describe the action.
Cadwell Park really is a circuit of two parts. Behind those trees are the wide, fast, flowing bends of the parkland area, but it's at this point here where the fun really begins. This is the approach to the woodland section, and in particular, the famous Cadwell Mountain. The riders are still doing 135 miles an hour on the approach before they go down into second gear, brake hard, flick it left, flick it right, and then muscle 165 kilograms of Superbike over the brow of the hill before tearing off into the woods. At racing speeds, it's impossible to keep both wheels on the tarmac. One man who will be flying here this weekend, and in actual fact, he's been riding high all season, is championship leader Neil Hodgson. He has really come of age this year, and Roger Burnett knows him as well as anyone.
In the 8 years since lifting the 125cc British title, Neil Hodgson has established himself as a world-class rider. After defecting to World Championship racing at just 18 years of age and serving a tough apprenticeship, it's taken 2 seasons of British Superbike racing and the GSE team to bring out the very best of Neil Hodgson. His remarkable World Superbike performances at Donington Park and Brands Hatch have silenced his critics and brought him tremendous popularity as the new British hero.
Well, here I am in the mobile injury clinic with none other than pole position man and championship leader Neil Hodgson. Neil, I know you're not injured, so what's going on here?
Well, basically, Barry, to race a superbike, you know, a modern-day superbike around tracks like Cadwell Park, it's very, very physically demanding. Now, I come and see Charlie 2 times a day, basically just for massages. You know, there's a lot of muscle tension, and basically Charlie relieves me of that. And the work he does, basically, I don't end up with any injuries or any torn muscles. He works on me before there is a problem, really.
Well, as you said, this is one of the toughest circuits. There are 8 races left in this year's championship. There are only 12 points separating the top 3. Are you thinking championship yet, or race by race?
Race by race, I've got to. It's so competitive between me, John and Chris. I have to think race by race. I have to think win, because when you have a 1-point lead, I've no cushion at all. I have to think attack, and that's basically what I'm doing. I'm going to attack. Certainly these 2 races, Mallory, and then we'll see what happens. You know, see what position I'm in then.
Well, you've established yourself as the #1 rider, arguably, in the country this year. Next year, you've already been linked with 500cc GP teams and World Superbike. With respect, you've tried both before with some success, but what's going to be different this time?
I'm a lot more mature now. I'm riding a lot better than I've ever ridden in my whole life. I'm mentally stronger, I'm fitter. I'm just generally more experienced with what makes a motorcycle go fast around a circuit. So, you know, I'm excited about the prospect of moving back to the world. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself racing in England, and like we keep saying, it is so competitive and it's good racing. So I'm excited, but it's a shame to have to turn my back on the British racing.
Off the record, just between you, me and 2 million viewers, do you have a personal preference, World Superbike or GP?
World Superbike, I'd say. I'm confident that I can go to World Superbike and be successful straight away, where with GP, it's a bit of an unknown quantity.
Well, good luck anyway.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Well, the top 6 in qualifying were inside the existing lap record, with the revamped barn corner adding 3 metres to the length of Cadwell Park. David Jeffries is the sole official Yamaha rider standing in for the injured Paul Brown, and of course no Steve Hislop, still recovering from his crash. Shane Byrne returns after the injury he sustained at Snetterton in June.
Steve Plater on the Kawasaki, you're nearly back to full fitness. You've qualified 5th, which is a personal best, and everything's looking good for the race, huh?
Yeah, you know, we nearly got a front row yesterday. I was 4th quickest in the first session yesterday morning, but deep down I thought I might get bumped off in the second session. But you know, it's all about getting a good start in the race. It's the last lap of the race that counts, not a qualifying lap.
John Reynolds, you're the man that's led this championship for most of the season. Now you're the man that's doing the chasing, 12 points behind. How difficult are these guys going to be to beat today?
I think to win this race you've got to be under the lap record every single lap, and you know, lapping in the 25s, which is probably 3/4 of a second faster than the lap record, so it's going to be very, very hard. But credit to the guys, I mean, everybody's flying and it should be a good race.
Round 17, 17 laps ahead of them. The 2.17 mile circuit here at Cadwell Park. A total race distance of 36.9 miles, and away they go. And the customary start from Chris Walker. It's the whole shot as they go into Coppice. Chris Walker leads. Number 4, Neil Hodgson, tucked in behind. A good start by the front row man, James Hayden. Both of the Team Revy Racing Ducatis. Front row and good start. Reynolds is in 4th, but it's Walker leading. Hayden 3rd, Reynolds 4th. The field stringing their way now along Park Straight up towards the right-hander of Park. And this is a very, very tight bend, and it doubles up as they go along. A little short straight here, then squirt it again into a Chris curve. This taken in 3rd gear, heading off now as they exit this down toward the gooseneck. But a good start in brilliant sunshine here in front of a full house in terms of spectator value at Cadwell. Walker leads, the rear end sliding. Roger, he's got to go pretty steadily in these early stages, otherwise cold tyres and all that, yeah?
Well, this is the approach now to the bottom of the mountain. Chris got the back end a little bit loose from Mansfield. This is into the bottom of the mountain. You'll see now the front wheel. Look at the bike leap off the track there. Fabulous pictures. We're getting into Hall Bends. 2nd gear, 70 miles an hour, 75 now, 80. Back down the gearbox to 1st gear for the hairpin. This is out of the hairpin, then to 2nd gear. Look at the acceleration of the Suzuki out of their barn corner. This is the reconfigured barn corner. We said it had added a short distance to the track, but it's certainly made it safer as they come through the start and finish to complete the first lap.
Well, it was noticeable out of barn corner that the race leader, number 2, Chris Walker, accelerated really, really well. He got the drive on the Suzuki out of barn and pulled away from the Ducati of Neil Hodgson coming onto the straight. If that's going to be a characteristic lap by lap, then of course it will be vital as they come out of barn for the final time on the sprint down to the flag. But Reynolds, in your picture, the 4th place man, number 3, John Reynolds, making a move for 3rd. He came here 12 points adrift of the championship leader Neil Hodgson, and that's his teammate James Hayden ahead of him, and Reynolds was leading Hayden by 41 points coming here, so obviously Reynolds, number 3, has got to get past the number 5 Ducati, who took an enormous wiggle, James Hayden, as I said the words. So Reynolds knows what he's got to do. It's very warm here, very sticky on track. We're on board with Chris Walker, looking back at the championship leader.
Hodgson there very fast into the bottom of the mountain. Watch the bike go airborne at the top, and it did. Past the cafe there on the right-hand side into Hall Bends. Now this is the difficult part of the track, I would say. A single line through here, very difficult to overtake before going down to 1st gear for the hairpin, then up to 2nd, and then into barn corner. 80 miles an hour on the exit of here, and the riders now come through onto the start and finish to get the messages from the pit boards, do you see there? Before going up to 6th gear, back to 4th gear for Coppice. This is very fast corner indeed, 120 miles an hour. Then right into Charlie's. You can't see the second part of Charlie's, which we can see now from the entry point, and that poses a difficulty for these Superbike riders as Hodgson gets extremely well tucked down under the bubble there. Maximum slipstream effect up the straight to Park Corner.
Well, these 4 are getting away, but in 5th place and hanging on very well in 5th place is former champion number 7 Neil Mackenzie, and he's got the opportunity here at Cadwell to improve his championship standings because the man in front of him in the championship, Steve Hislop, is not competing, still carrying that injury from his World Superbike crash at Brands Hatch. So we have 2 GSE Ducatis in the top 5, 2 Team Revy Racing Ducatis in the top 5, and out in front the lone Suzuki of Chris Walker. He won here last year, so he knows his way around Cadwell extremely well. He was testing here just a week ago and equalled his personal best, so we expect no less than this from Chris Walker. Looking back again, you can see the weather is good, and look how close Neil Hodgson is, right on the back wheel of Chris Walker's Suzuki, tucking in, making the shortest route possible around here at the foot of the mountain. Neil Hodgson takes another look as they head now right up the mountain. Just watch Neil Hodgson, completely airborne, gets it lined up, and it's vital they get it right, Roger, into Hall Bends.
Well, the riders love Cadwell Park. It's really exciting. No better place is there to ride a motorcycle around a racing circuit than this one. It really is exciting. The track is quite narrow, you'll notice, and that's peculiar to Cadwell Park. And as a consequence, it's very difficult for them to run car races here, and that's Plater, so Plater's had to pull in with a problem. Let's see if we can see what that is. This is on board with Plater. The engine revs have gone up there, so I identify that as a drive chain actually coming off. Chris Walker had the same problem on that bike last year. When the bike jumps up the mountain, the suspension compresses as it lands and the chain comes off. So that looked like it was that. It's certainly a drive problem or a transmission problem. Oh my goodness me, James Hayden, you must be careful, because squeezing the power on that Ducati like that, and look at Reynolds siding across the front. Well, Barry, those are teammates, let me tell you, and do teammates behave like that?
Well, apparently they do, because we've just seen it with our own eyes. And Reynolds obviously desperate to get past James Hayden, who he might have thought was looking a little bit out of shape. And from our seats, it looked as though James Hayden was a bit out of shape. But let's be fair to the youngster. James Hayden is still nursing that neck injury, which is causing his right arm to lose grip and gives him a great deal of pain. He's got a trapped nerve somewhere in the neck disc area, which makes it difficult for him to sustain the pace over a long period during a race. And that could well be the fact that he was unable to hang on to the bike, but certainly Reynolds needed to scuttle past, and scuttle past he did. He's now in third. Walker at Charlie's, driving, and a big move, the rear end of the Suzuki let go. That's allowed Neil Hodgson to close, and now he smells the lead, takes it on the left-hand side up towards Park, but Walker's a demon on the brakes. Is he going to hold Hodgson off? No, he isn't. Neil Hodgson, championship leader, is now race leader of round 17, and Chris Walker will be kicking himself for that. He knows he's made a mistake. Also, John Reynolds, number 3, has closed, and the order they're now in the championship. Hayden's down. Hayden is down as well. Now, that's Park. That's on the exit of Park. Hayden is down as well. What about that, Roger?
Well, it's very difficult to say what happened. James has obviously fallen down, trying to keep with this front bunch, and will be disappointed. But his teammates pressing now in third, because John Reynolds on bike number 3 is pushing Walker and Hodgson. So Hodgson comes round Barn Corner to complete yet another lap. This is important to get out of that corner quickly, because you go down this bottom straight, back 2 gears from 6th gear, 160 miles an hour at that point of entering Coppice Corner. Then in 4th gear, the entry point to Charlie's, back 1 gear to take the exit of Charlie's, but Reynolds very much in touch.
You're looking at first, second, third in the race, and first, second, third in the championship. We have only had 4 winners in the 2000 series, and these 3 boys have had the lion's share of them. And let me tell you, in the 16 races that have gone so far, obviously there have been 48 podium places. Between them, these 3 riders have taken 33 of those podium places. That's an astonishing fact and an astonishing display of consistency, not least of all by this man, Neil Hodgson, who is really in his best season ever, number 4, Neil Hodgson. Chris Walker, the man who never ever gives up, is hanging on grimly in second place, 3 times runner-up in this championship. Surely he's not going to carry the number 2 plate into the year 2001. That must be Chris Walker's worst nightmare, to finish runner-up yet again. If there's anything he can do about it, he will certainly do something about it. John Reynolds in a 16-point position at the moment, came here with a 12-point deficit, needs to improve on that 3rd place, and Roger, he's closing.
Well, he's closing, but there's very little time left, because this is through now to start the last lap, and Chris Walker will know that, Neil Hodgson will know that, and John Reynolds will, and John Reynolds is likely to settle for that 3rd place, knowing that Walker and Hodgson are capable of getting into a last lap fracas, as we've seen on several occasions this year so far. But this time Hodgson looks like he's probably got clear of Chris Walker, and Chris probably hasn't got an answer at this stage for him.
No, the gap now 5 or 6 machine lengths at Park, and then squirting along the back to Chris Curve. Chris Curve taken in 3rd, heading down towards the gooseneck, which is a very, very steep off-camber downhill drop. They go left into the gooseneck, flick out through the bottom, and then away down the hill towards Mansfield, 2nd gear corner. This is where Chris Walker is very quick, and this is where he closes. And look over the shoulder from Neil Hodgson. Tail enders ahead of them, and that looks like Dave Redgate, number 35. Yes, it is. It's Dave Redgate. Is he going to get in the way of Neil Hodgson? Over the mountain goes Hodgson. He's clear of Redgate. Walker now has to get past the tail Highlander. Oh no, he is stuck behind Dave Redgate, number 35. That's given Neil Hodgson the advantage. A shake of the head from Suzuka's Chris Walker. A wistful shake of the head. He knew he had an opportunity there, and I won't say he blew it, but that opportunity was taken from him as Neil Hodgson gets the checkered flag, jubilant in victory, left hand in the air, and the air horns here at Cadwell sound. A fantastically supportive crowd, and he has to be delighted with that one. I'm very sorry, mate, says Dave Redgate. Don't worry, said Chris, we've got one more race to go. Well, confirmation with a stunning wheelie and a stunning win by Neil Hodgson. Walker, Reynolds third, Mackenzie fourth place. That will do his championship standings the world of good. It's a personal best for John Crawford in fifth and a great return by Shane Byrne in seventh.
John, it was great to see you right in the hunt there, all the way till the end, really.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a bit better. I had a big slide on the, I think, the next to last lap at the end of the straight going into park, and it basically was a slide on closed throttle, and that usually isn't that good. It gave me a bit of a warning, really, so there's not a lot I could do about it. I lost 30-40 yards to Chris and Neil, and that was it.
Chris, as always, you gave 100%. The crowd were right behind you. Looked like you got a back marker bad on the last lap there.
Yeah, Neil was pretty steady through Hull Bends, and I thought I might be able to get a chance of getting him on the last lap. And obviously the back marker didn't know I was there. It wasn't really his fault, although, I feel pretty bad about it. But no, just one of those things. Neil rode really, really hard. I was sliding around from really early on in the race, and he did a good job, made a good pass on me after I made a mistake at Charlie's and held on for the win, so fair play really, but see what we can do in the next one.
Neil, that was an absolutely fantastic result. You really needed that after Knockhill, didn't you?
Yeah, Knockhill went terrible, and I was really disappointed with my own performance. The team worked well, I rode useless, so felt like I had a lot to prove today, and one down, one to go. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I got into the lead and it started to drizzle a little bit, and very, very off-putting, as you can imagine, but Chris pushed me hard and he rode really well, and I'm just pleased for myself and the team.
There's a natural grandstand here at Cadwell, a grass hill that accommodates about 3,000 people, and there's not an inch of grass to be seen. Neil Hodgson sharing his champagne with those spectators in the front row. And look at the crowd. 35,000, they reckon, came into the event, and the police estimate they turned away a further 12,000 who simply could not get in. Such is the importance